Welcome back, Team Holy Fit, to the Holy Fit's Weeks Focus series. To wrap up the last month of April, we would like to congratulate Callie Short for winning the Word of the Month, which was relentless. Callie showed a relentless attitude in how she communicated with her coach in and outside of her meetings. And she also showed an amazing relentless attitude in the execution of all the things that her coach was trying to coach her through during that month. So congratulations, Callie. Be on the lookout for a prize pack coming to you real soon. Now this first week of May, we're going to go into a week's focus dealing with the mindset to have that is to never settle. Okay, so we never want to settle for anything in life, but we're going to make this make sense in terms of fitness and wellness, of course, so that it kind of makes sense in the other things of life, okay? So we have a nice little analogy here for you. So you see three houses. You guys might be familiar with this story of the three little pigs. The first house we have here is the most fragile and has been invested with the least amount of time. This is the straw house, the first pig, right? Now, interestingly enough, this is the majority of U.S. citizens, making up 80% of our population, who have virtually zero focus on health, who do not hit on the required amount of activity or proper nutrition or sleep or stress management, any of those things. They're below the poverty line, so to speak, on every single one of those categories, 80% of our population. So going into this house is the one that's made of sticks, right? So a little bit more time invested from the straw to the stick house. And this actually makes up 17% of the U.S. population. Now, these are like our weekend warriors, right? Those guys who are always seeking for the quick fix. I'm going to do 6 months of poor nutrition, and then I'm going to do a cleanse at the end, and I'm going to lose 15 pounds. Not the way you want to look at your health focus, right? But it makes up 17% of the U.S. population. Those people who kind of have the thought that they want to be more healthy, but no real consistency in their routine and their pattern to actually get them there on a consistent basis to have good results. And then we have our last house here, right? The model that we want to really push for in this series, which is the brick house. The most time has been invested to lay a foundation for this house, for this structure, so that no matter what happens, no matter who comes along to try to break it down, right? There's nothing that can be wavering in this foundation, and everything that's set in it is there to last, right? Through hurricane winds or whatever, the big bad wolf, right? So this only makes up, though, 3% of the U.S. population, right? Very small number. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to make this connect to, a lot of you guys have more of a business mind, right, which is great. But I'm going to make this make sense to the 1% of the population that we all are trying to seek to reach. And it's kind of like the American dream, right? You want to have financial wealth and health to go along with that. Well, the interesting thing is, out of this 3%, a majority of that 1% that make up our wealthiest in the country actually fall into this 1% of the healthiest in the country. So very interesting how that connection is. And some people might say, well, it's because they have the time and the money to invest in these things. But in reality, there's a direct link between their pattern of nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management that actually helps them have the time to do these things and invest into their health and actually free up more time in their week to focus on business-related matters. So actually, the key is to have a pattern and to have a foundation. So if we're going to set a foundation and do it with these bricks, it should always start with nutrition and mobility. You hear us coach that all the time, guys, nutrition and mobility. But this makes up 70% of your progress, right? So if we're focused on that, and then we have the daily activity of mobility, which is morning and evening stretching, right? We always talk about the AM and PM routines. If we have that set in, all of a sudden we're less stressed. We have less cortisol in our system, so therefore we feel in our mind less cluttered. All these other things are able to take place in a lot more clear, conducive environment, right? And then we also pair that with, okay, better sleep. Now we have better quality sleep. Awesome. Well, that means we feel energized enough to then put in forth more effort towards our routine and get more exercise, specifically cardio and strength training. Important to have both those components, cardio and strength training together. And then the last piece of the puzzle, the last brick, if you will, is supplementation, right? It kind of holds everything together and fills in those little gaps, the mortar, if you will, that holds these bricks together. So all together, though, they make up the foundation. It's not one piece at a time, but a steady, consistent focus on all these things. And if you have the mindset to never settle, that's this week's focus, guys. Have a mindset to never settle on any one of these things. Then you will build a foundation that will last you for the rest of your life, and nothing can tear it down.